Hello, everyone. Welcome to the first episode of Trail Mix. You can call me Elle, and you are?
And I'm Jay.
Do you want to explain the name of this podcast?
Well, some people might be reading it and thinking like, did they misspell trail mix? But it's trial mix because it's a trial, like setting.
Yeah, we're currently in court.
Yes. Our bosses don't know. I'm a clerk, and L is a transcriber. But our bosses, they don't know. They're out for lunch, and we're recording this real quick. But anyways, it's called a trial mix. It's a trial, and we're gonna talk about a mixture of subjects.
Because we're so clever.
The whole reason we're starting this podcast is because usually we have conversations about like things that's happening on social media, like people having a frenzy over a subject, something like
Incest.
yeah, something like incest. There's this TikTok that got some attention. This TikToker had her parents were cousins, right?
Yes, her parents were cousins, and it actually didn't get that much attention. It had I don't know, less than 10,000 views, but I still stumbled upon it. And then 2 hours later, because people were like, no, it's not okay for your parents to be cousins, she ended up deleting it and then never addressed it again. And I don't remember her username now because it's been a few months. But I had brought this up to Jay here, and we have discussions like this. I get inspired by a TikTok I see, or any kind of post I see, and then we just have discussions about it. So why not record them?
Yes. Because a lot of people do weird things, such as rubbing alcohol on their toes because they find it pleasing, or stuff like that. Which I'm not kink shaming, but there's stranger things out there.
That is very specific. Have you done that before?
Only on the weekends.
That's still pretty often.
I call it my deep cleanings.
So is there anything specific you want to talk about?
Well, since this is our first podcast, I guess we should clarify that we're no psychologists. We have no law degrees of any kind. We're just speculators. We're speculators and spectators of the internet. And the internet has many crazy things going on all the time, like a buzzing hive of bees. And one little queen bee we are going to look at in an upcoming episode is Christine Chandler. Because they used to be known as Christian, and I keep wanting to call him Christian. But they're a strange individual who you will hear about in the next episode.
It's going to be an interesting one.
There's other figures I've been doing research on, such as Onision. Everyone knows his deal. There's Avocado Guy. What's his name? The Avocado Guy. He's a mukbanger.
Nicocado Avocado.
He is very interesting. And there's a few people that Elle wants to look at. There's this woman who's a mother and a YouTuber, and she has this weird relationship with her son. Is that correct?
Mother and was that also the TikTok that I was telling you about?
No, this is a separate occasion. That there's this mother on YouTube that no one really gets attention. Like, she doesn't get any attention. There is one video talking about her history, but it's silent, and it's words on the screen basically.
Okay, no, this is I really want to talk about that, because there are a few videos about her, but most of the videos that do exist, they just make fun of her rather than just laying out all the facts and talking about it. So basically, she has an ASMR channel, and she also has a mukbang channel. And she has said things that are very questionable. Some of them have been racist comments, transphobic comments, and there's proof of her neglecting her son and basically abusing him. And there's this whole Reddit that I stalk like at least once a week, and that's how I know all this information. But that Jay is so passionate about Chris Chan, and I am very passionate about this woman. Like, this is my Chris Chan. And so yeah, that will be coming once I get all my information.
And what is this woman's name?
She goes by Songbird ASMR.
Okay.
And the bird, instead of an I, it's a Y, because she's quirky like that.
Ah, yes. Another individual I would like to talk about is a Mr. Daggers, IRL.
Oh, God.
I want to collect more research. I've done extensive, background work on him, somewhat, very shallow, I should say, actually. But he is very interesting, as in he rants and raves on the internet. And who doesn't,
See, I wasn't sure if you wanted to bring him up or not, but I guess we're going there.
Mr. Daggers isn't that well known, and he seems like a dangerous individual to himself and to others. Just give you some insight on how he thinks. He often talks about mass shooters in a negative light, which is good, but he talks about their reasonings for committing their heinous crimes and not the act of it. And he praises people who have a good reason to do it, quote unquote. And so he has a twisted mind on ideology and causations and stuff like that. And it's scary.
What is there an example of something he would say?
I could insert something, yes, right here.
Someone wanted me to talk about the shootings for some reason, and I'm having trouble giving a fuck about it because they're really nothing special. They're just someone wanted me to talk about the shootings. And it's already, I'm losing track of time. I think it's already been 2 weeks since they happened. 2 or 3 weeks, whatever. 3 shootings that people have already forgotten about that doesn't really affect anything. So one of them was an actual right-winger. Who cares? Who cares about this shit? Who actually cares? It doesn't fucking matter. Who cares about some shootings that happened somewhere? They happen once in a while, somewhere. Who gives a fuck? Talk about what? Talk about why they fucking happen? I mean, is it any fucking surprise? We live in a emasculated. We live in a society, but we actually live in a civilization that it's really trapping. It's really emasculating. Can't really go anywhere. A lot of people are actually kind of fucked. Can't do much. And then they're still dealing with the bullshit of other people in the system. Not to mention all of the media stuff going on. A lot of disillusioning, and then the media proposing to you consumerism, political consumerism, and imagery of people being shot. Let me see here. Yeah, yeah, isn't it fucking weird how much people were talking about it for like the 2 weeks? And it doesn't even affect anyone in real life.
And, you know, that'll give you a peek of how he thinks.
So that's going to be a whole other episode as well.
Yes, that would be another topic. And we can, like, even, like, go episode by episode, like a whole, like, string of episodes, like, break it up, you know, talk about him, because he is interesting. Because he talks about many things, such as, like, drug usage and his opinions on, like, his neighborhood, because he doesn't like his neighborhood, his neighbors and everything. He's in a few fandoms. He used to be in the Undertale. I'm not sure if he is. He's definitely still an anime fan. But yeah, he's a interesting guy.
I mean, but we're only focusing on people right now. We also want to talk about, like, subjects as a whole. Like, I mean, we already mentioned incest. What else could we talk about?
Like, how far is something can be taken to be racist? Like a statement or a character. There's this song we talked about before. This girl had a black character who, you know, like, and I asked, does this count as blackface? And Elle doesn't consider it blackface, but I do, especially if they portray that character in a negative light.
Do you still have, like, the Instagram of that person and their character?
I do. I could look.
Because I want to look at it more. All I did was look at that one post.
Mm-hmm. They're a comic creator. Like, they make comics, I guess, like webtoons. I think that's what they're called.
Yeah.
She does, like, a sci-fi fantasy, not sci-fi fantasy, like a modern fantasy kind of stuff. And, you know, and I don't know if that character she made is, like, a character from her comics or just a character she had and, like, used. I don't know. But, you know.
Well, we don't have to get into it right now, because that's the whole thing. That's, you know, we're just throwing out ideas. We don't want to go in depth right now.
Yes. Another idea could be that we talk about like legalization of some things, like
weed.
Yeah, weed. You know, that one's kind of, you know, out there. You know, like, people have done it. We can do it. Nothing's gonna harm that, right?
Yeah, I feel like maybe if it's not really, like, it's no controversial conflict.
Oh, yes.
Maybe for some, but I feel like most people are just like, I don't care.
Yeah, no, I don't care. Like, weed, like, maybe, because, like, it should be like, I mean, people drink at 21, right? Like, should maybe weed be like that?
Yeah, I think there should be definitely, like, an older age limit, but because I do think it's wrong for people to start using it very young.
Yeah, young. Yes.
Yeah, I've seen what it does to people who started when they were really young, and they become dependent on it, basically, and that's not right. You should wait until your brain is a bit more developed.
That's the thing, though. Because your brain doesn't stop developing at 21, and you can still drink, and that also
that's
affects
another
your
thing.
mind. You know, because at first, I think the age for drinking, like, way back then, was like when they put in the law, like, age limit was 18, and then they moved it to 21.
Yeah.
But, like, you know, Canada, you can go to Canada and drink at 16. Or go to the UK and drink at 16. So, and they're doing
Yeah,
fine when you look at them.
I always see other countries making fun of us because we have to wait until 21,
And
and because
people still
theirs is,
drink.
yeah, but because theirs is 18,
Hmm.
their citizens start drinking even younger because, oh, they'll just be 18 quicker than they'll be 21. So there's
Hmm.
like 13-year-olds drinking. And yeah, that happens here too, but
Hmm.
I feel like a lot of people, most of them start by like 16, 17, and then you're almost an adult by then.
I was 5 when I first tried beer. It was my uncle.
Was it an accident or
No, he gave it to me. Like, he handed me a can. It was just a sip,
do
of
you
course. It wasn't
remember
like chugging it down.
do you remember what you thought when you drank it?
I thought it was nasty. I went, ew.
I was probably like 11 or 12. And, I was around all the adults, so it wasn't, I wasn't being reckless or anything. It was just a little sip, and I was disgusted.
Another subject that we can talk about is maybe like national court cases, like actual like trials that are going on, and weigh in on our opinions.
Ooh. Do you want to talk about current ones or past ones?
Michael Jackson. That's what I want to talk
Oh,
about.
gosh.
Because Elle
That,
doesn't really know much about Michael Jackson and that thing.
no, I know. So that is going to require some research on my end, and I will have to
Mm.
come to a conclusion.
There's also, well, just Chris Chan, but we touch on it a little bit, and it's not quite done yet. Like, the whole court case is still on the table, processing.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be a whole other thing once they decide everything.
Hmm. We're gonna talk about like how long his sentencing is gonna be, and is it worthy of what he did, or maybe things like, because there's like some talk that the judge kept referring Christine as a he, even though she's got her legalization. She's like has all the paperwork for the transition, right? Like, she's legally a she,
Mhm.
but the judge still referred to her as a him, and she was kind of mad at that. Like,
Mm.
there's that scenario going down. Um, I'm not sure who Christine's lawyer is. I just feel very bad for them because even within prison, Christine is still digging herself a hole, a deep one.
Oh, imagine how frustrating that would be.
Yes, yes. People speculated that the reason the lawyer is allowing this to happen, to be public, is one, that they want Christine to look as crazy as possible so that they can like get away on that. They can co-spy on an
Mhm.
insanity charge. But the judge ruled that out, so no, no.
Uh, if that was their plan, well, it failed.
Yes.
I always do wonder, like, how lawyers, because everyone has to get a lawyer, right? So these
Mm.
lawyers are just thrown into these cases where they, like, have to pretend to defend this person who's so clearly in the wrong.
Well, I'm not sure if it's that jaded. Like, I'm pretty sure some truly do feel like they have to defend this person. Because, like, let's say someone's walking down the street and the cops arrest them and they're charged for murder when they're just walking down the street. It's that lawyer's job to prove that, hey, this guy was just walking past and no, he did not commit the murder. It's their job to keep innocent people out. And sadly, that job often is a failure, and innocent people do go to jail, and even innocent people do get the death sentence, which is terrible. And this has been caught because they've caught the real person who committed the crime way after. Like, there's this famous case where this guy was in jail for 15 years for raping some women, but they caught the real guy who did it, and he got reimbursed money for the time he spent in prison.
Oh, no amount of money
And there's this
is worth.
woman, sorry, there's this woman who, I think it was in Florida, where she was charged for killing her own child. Like legit killing, like not even like from neglect, just like straight on manslaughter. And in Florida, I think the death penalty is like they're like happy go lucky with it, so like they stamp that on anyone they can basically, and so she was sentenced to death, but luckily it was proven that she didn't kill her child, and so they released her from prison, and she was never compensated. So she's now an activist for falsely indicted people. We could even dive into the paranormal on this podcast, which may kind of stick out from everything else. But hey, sometimes the paranormal can just be in your imagination, and sometimes it could just be a demon dragging you out of bed every night.
Stop. I mean, it's also a commentary on society because.
Oh, that's right. We can talk about mental health and like people with anxiety, people with depression. We've talked about suicide before, but we could talk about it on here. Like, what was that one conversation we had about if you help someone, like if you give someone the supplies to commit suicide, like some medicine or a knife or some rope or something, and they commit suicide, you're technically helping them. Like is that considered murder or assisted suicide? And I think it's considered assisted suicide.
Yeah, because you're helping them.
Yeah.
You didn't do it to them. You're just
just
providing them the resources.
Yes. Or like if you don't do anything to stop it, you're still kind of guilty about it. Like, oh, they're on top of a roof and they're gonna jump 15 stories. Well, I'm gonna eat my ice cream and walk on by. You could have prevented it. There's that possibility. We can talk about that, like scenarios. Like, there's been a knife found bloody under your bed, and you've been arrested. How are you going to prove your innocence?
Do we know whose blood it is?
It's a victim's blood. A victim of murder.